in week 2 of our RCYT yoga teacher training. This is our course to train all of you for the specialty degree to be a registered children's yoga teacher. Just as all of our trainings follow the SHARE method, so you know what to expect before you even arrive, this training follows this method as well. So as you all know, in weeks ending in a 2, you will always get a sequence. Since this is our first week ending in a 2, week 2, this sequence will be Sun Salutation A. Just a little big picture for those of you who have taken our other courses previously or are exploring the possibility and want to learn more. In our RYT 200, our RPYT, Registered Prenatal Yoga Teacher, and this course, our RCYT, Registered Children's Yoga Teacher. In week 2, we teach Sun Salutation A. In our prenatal course, we teach Sun Salutation A modified for prenatal to be prenatal safe. And in this course, we teach Sun Salutation A, but with added information to make it applicable to our 3 age groups. As you may recall, the RCYT is a children's yoga specialty degree to make you very confident at teaching ages 2 to 15. Now that's a really big span, so we break it up into 3 categories: preschool, elementary school, and middle school. So as we go over Sun Salutation A, we will break it down into cueing of how to make it fun, because after all, it's yoga. It doesn't need to be too serious. Why not have fun? There's no law. I'm a lawyer. There's no law against having some fun with yoga. So we'll learn some techniques on how to make Sun Salutation A fun for preschoolers around ages 2 to 5. Fun for elementary schoolers around ages, I guess like 5 to 10. And then fun for our middle schoolers around ages 11 to 15. So before we start, you don't need anything, although kids love, love, love props, and I have some props in the background. We do try to teach without the use of any props, just because it's for the folks that have props, good for you, you have props anyway. But for the folks that don't have props, teaching with props just makes it feel like one more insurmountable barrier. And the message that I love to get across, especially since ShareLoveFund was designed to serve the incarcerated female population, is that all you need is yourself. You are enough, and everything you need is already inside of you. I'm going to give everyone a moment to get settled in, get what they need, although you don't need props for this class. For those of you who do feel settled already, I invite you to take a comfortable seated position, and you can start working on focusing on your breath, drawing your attention inward. You can place a hand on your belly, a hand on your heart, and just take the journey within. We'll reconvene in a few moments. Okay, now that everybody had a chance to draw inward and focus on your breath as a personal little meditation, we're going to invite our furry friend here. No, just kidding. We're going to take a deep dive into what is the blueprint of a second grader. Now, obviously, each child is different, but it helps us as educators to kind of have an idea, for the most part, in general, what is going on at each developmental level. At ShareLoveFund, our method is to not have any tests or quizzes. And so one way that we do that is we try to break information down to just only get a little bit of information each class. And we have 52 lessons or weeks, and this is the second week. So for this lesson, we're just going to talk about second graders and really understand this age 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so socially for a 6-year-old, sometimes they're competitive. They're not always good sports, and sometimes they can be bossy or critical. So as you're teaching a class, when you see these signs in a 6-year-old, maybe take it with a grain of salt. Know that part of this is the age, and there's nothing wrong with this child. It's just something that they are going through. As you may recall, in the younger ages, they're sort of oblivious to other children around them. And so by age 6, they're getting an awareness that there are other kids around them, and that awareness can come socially with a feeling of competition. 6-year-olds socially tend to either rush to be first or dawdle to be last. So this is something you can think about when teaching a yoga class. If you say, hey kids, grab your mat, they might push and shove and try to be the first to grab the mat, or they might hang out in the corners and be the last to grab the mat. So at this age, at the age of 6, children may need a little extra cueing to say, okay, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to grab your mats. My expectation is that you will stand single file and wait your turn. I want each of you to spell the words yoga, Y-O-G-A, before grabbing your mat, giving them a task in between walking over to the mat and grabbing it will sort of slow down the race of being competitive to rushing to be the first to grab the mat and so forth. Sometimes if you tell a child, don't rush, all they can think about is rushing. But if you say, oh, you have to spell yoga forwards and backwards before you can grab the mat, then their mind is busy doing something else. That also teaches them spelling. 6-year-olds socially want to have friends, and they may have best friends. And so that's something to think about when setting up the class, whether you want to let them choose their places or assign places, because certain kids might cluster together and cling to each other, be best friends, and so forth. Children at the age 6 enjoy dressing up. They enjoy putting on plays, etc. with other children. This can be so much fun in the context of Sun Salutation A, which we will explore together, because you can make a story behind Sun Salutation A with all the movements. Like, for example, standing up and doing upward salute. You can say, we are a tower, and now the tower is falling. London bridges come crashing down, and so forth, when you go from upward salute to forward fold. And then we're rebuilding it brick by brick when you come to half bend, and so forth. You can make a story as part of the yoga routine. 6-year-olds socially tend to be talkative and noisy. So when you're teaching this age group, if everyone is clamoring and not giving you attention, please do not take it personally. This is part of their development. We can't expect children to grow up to be leaders if they don't find their voice. And sometimes when we're trying to figure something out, we overindulge, and then we realize that didn't work, and then we pull the reins on it. But the children, they need this experience to talk. They need this experience to be noisy. This is not about you. If you are in the business of education, it is about those that you are educating. You've had your chance. It's a job. Please really remember that this is not about you, that this is about the children, and please give them this gift of space. That doesn't mean that they need to be disrespectful. It just means that they should not be demonized for talking or noisy. They should not be told that they are bad. This is appropriate development, and they can learn boundaries and say, please be quiet now, and you can dictate the action that you seek, but you do not need to judge the child or tell them they're bad when they're just doing the thing that is developmentally appropriate for them to do. And it is fine for them to experience the natural consequence of violating a boundary, like a quiet space in the class, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. It's sort of like punishing a child for growing out of their shoe. You know, they're growing, and they need to talk in order to learn how to talk. And then once they know how to talk, they can learn to pick and choose how much to say later. At 6 years old, socially, children get easily upset when criticized or discouraged. So this goes with the point that I was saying before. So please be mindful, especially as a mindfulness teacher. Please be mindful that your feedback is constructive. Try to think of your role as those little inflatable tubes in the bowling alley, and not aggressive in any way. Think of your role as redirecting, not reprimanding, but redirecting. Children at the age of 6 socially love encouragement, surprises, and treats. So this is a great way to say, if everybody puts on their listening ears and their indoor voice and follows the leader, then at the end, we can play a game of freeze tag yoga, or we can vote and play a game of your choosing. So and if they don't cooperate, then they don't necessarily earn that game. But this is a way to, try to lead with the carrot. Children at the age of 6 socially may test authority with tantrums, complaining, or tattletaling. So again, if there is a lot of complaining or tattletales, this is not a time to lose your cool or to worry that you're not a good teacher or to make this about yourself in any way. This is a time for you to step back, have perspective, and say, yeah, there's going to be a lot of whining and commotion with 6-year-olds. So let's take a deep breath. Let's refocus them, redirect them, and engage them in an activity that will draw upon their focus. And you can use this knowledge of what we've just read. The children love encouragement, surprises, and treats. And you can say, okay, everyone, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to shake out all those bad feelings. We're going to come on our mat. We're going to play a game of Simon Says to increase body awareness, for example. And if everybody puts on their listening ears, then at the end, we can play freeze tag yoga or so forth as a treat. Okay, cognitively, what is going on with 6-year-olds cognitively? 6-year-olds cognitively begin to understand the past and present and how and why things happen. They are more able to see other viewpoints and to understand reasons for rules. 6-year-olds love new ideas. They love asking questions. 6-year-olds learn well with games, poems, songs, and riddles. So this could be a really fun, creative way where, for example, when we practice the sun salutation, they can make a song or a poem or a riddle, like, there was an old man who reached for the sky. Then he fell down because he dropped his pie, and so forth. So you can use sort of this insider information on how these 6-year-olds think to craft super fun and engaging classes. And that can be really exciting as an educator. 6-year-olds are very ambitious, often choosing projects that are too hard. So this cognitive draw to choose projects that are too hard, that can be coupled with the social issue of tantrums, where they could be very disappointed. So, but they're learning their boundaries, and, there's a book called Blessing of a Skinned Knee, and, sometimes we need to choose projects that are too hard and be disappointed to kind of learn our boundaries. And 6-year-olds very much, they're a work in progress, and they're learning. So there are going to be, some moments of heartache in that. 6-year-olds learn well from field trips and hands-on projects. So one of my favorite activities with this age group is to cut out the yoga poses, and we have the yoga poses in handouts in our course. You can sign up for our course at ShareLoveFund/train. In our RCYT course, we have many handouts of grids of the yoga poses, but you could also cut out those grids, and children love to mix and match, create their own routines. They can even glue it on paper. You can say, okay, make your own 9-pose sequence or 10-pose sequence, and they can have a lot of fun with that. And it's visual, it's tactile, and it's cerebral. Then you mix that with actually carrying out the yoga routine that they've created. So that's kinetic, and it's so much more than yoga. It's really full mind, body, soul engagement for education. Lastly, on 6-year-olds for cognitive behavior. 6-year-olds like doing lots of work, so don't shy from the work. They want to be busy. They actually crave it. And they're not concerned with the quality of work, though. They just want to get it done. So we said before, socially, 6-year-olds sometimes tend to rush or be the last to get started. So if you say to that 6-year-old, okay, everyone, let's clean up the blocks, they'll probably run around and just put them all on a pile that falls over. And so they're not necessarily concerned with how neat they do it, but they just want to get it done. But you can know ahead of time that the 6-year-olds are going to rush it. You can be prepared for that by telling them in advance, we're going to put on the brakes, or you can make it like a fun game, like saying, oh, we're going to pretend that there's a big monster, and we're going to tiptoe to pick up the blocks, and then really quietly tiptoe to stack them and put them away. And so by knowing that a 6-year-old is going to rush, probably, and by knowing that a 6-year-old is going to be so excited for the job of picking up blocks, but have total disregard for their quality of work, knowing that in advance, you get the opportunity to be an incredible educator, to craft games, to redirect that, such as let's clean up the blocks in slow motion. The point is to make it fun. Life can be fun. Life can be rewarding. But we have to come out at it with that angle. And if you just don't know how to do that, then I invite you to consider what questions are you asking yourself? Because if you're asking yourself, oh, how am I going to get through this special ed PE class? Then you're probably not going to come up with a creative answer. But if you ask yourself, how can I have fun with my special ed kids today? Then your brain is hardwired to actually solve problems, and you're more likely to come up with creative solutions, and it's going to feel really good. It's going to be rewarding. It's going to be the gift that keeps on giving, because when you feel positive, you have more energy, the creative juices flow, and so forth. Okay, let's talk about 6-year-olds in the physical context. Their eyes are maturing, so reading is easier, but copying from a board or a chart is still hard. So this would not be a good age to give them yoga notes on recopying Sanskrit. But as we learned earlier in cognitive, they love poems and singing and chanting. And so, calling out poses back and forth, like I say mountain pose, you say Tadasana, mountain pose, Tadasana, mountain pose, Tadasana. And then they learn the Sanskrit of that. That could be really fun. But if you write Tadasana on the board and you ask them to make a flashcard, you're probably not going to get that. It's probably going to feel like pulling teeth, because developmentally they're just not there yet. If you hold up cards with the word Tadasana and you say, when I hold up this card, be a mountain. When I hold up Sukhasana, sit down and do easy seat. Tadasana, be tall. Sukhasana, sit. Tadasana, tall. Sukhasana, sit. If you put it on a card visually, that a 6-year-old could do, and that could be a really fun game, because again, we've learned that physically 6-year-olds' eyes are maturing and they are able to read easier. So they have the reading, but they're not quite there on the writing. So feel free to hold up cards and get these 6-year-olds moving in response to visual aids, but don't expect these 6-year-olds to be your secretarial staff. Okay, 6-year-olds often chew pencils, hair, and fingernails, and it might be due to the discomfort of new teeth growing in. So, just because it is not their fault that they're chewing doesn't mean that you have to tolerate it. So, but it just means that you should have compassion when redirecting them. So for example, if you have a 6-year-old with their fingers all in their mouth and you don't want them to touch the yoga block with their slobbery fingers because of germs and so forth, you can say, you need to wash your hands before you touch the yoga block. Or if you can't control your fingers out of your mouth, you can't use the yoga block. So that's like a natural consequence, but what you're not saying is you're bad for putting your fingers in your mouth. You're just saying that, that they're going to have to work really hard to exhibit self-control to get the privilege of touching the yoga block. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this: it is a really common school of thought in the US to say, oh, this child has sensory needs, let them do what they want, it's not their fault. But the thing is we are allowed to make certain rules and restrictions based on behavior. For example, if I was blind, I wouldn't be able to drive a car. It wouldn't be my fault, because I would just happen to be blind. But just because it's not my fault doesn't mean that the state of New York should allow me to drive blind. So the state of New York is allowed to say, look, I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you don't get to earn this privilege because of in that case, a physical restriction. But it is also okay to say, in the context of teaching, that you don't get to earn this privilege because of certain behaviors. Maybe not, because you put your fingers in your mouth once, you can never touch the blocks. That seems punitive, and that seems unnecessarily hurtful to the child. But maybe saying, we need to keep the yoga blocks clean. So I'm going to ask you all to keep your fingers out of your mouth. If you have put your fingers in your mouth, going to have to wash hands before you can touch your yoga blocks. I can't leave this classroom with all of you, so I can't take you all to the restroom, so I can't actually wash your hands with you. So unfortunately, for the rest of this class, you can't use the yoga block, or so forth. Each classroom is a little bit different, but the idea is you can set health and safety restrictions, and you can try to encourage the behaviors that you seek through rewards and treats, privileges such as playing with the yoga block. But what you shouldn't do is criticize the actual person, like say you're a bad person or something because you put the fingers in the mouth, because actually putting the fingers in the mouth is completely developmentally appropriate, and it might even be for the medical condition of soreness of the teeth. For 6-year-olds physically, their bodies are growing rapidly. This means that they truly might not have the physical body awareness that you may expect. So, being on a yoga mat, if your school or you have a yoga mat, is a wonderful, wonderful boundary. It's a way to physically define where their body should be. If you don't have yoga mats, try to cut them a little slack if they're moving around and their arms hit each other. They genuinely might not realize how long their arm is, because a month ago, maybe it was just this big. So the body awareness is a challenge for them. However, that is why it is so awesome to teach yoga to this age group, because it's helping them with their coordination, it's helping them with their body awareness. Also, just because they are not aware necessarily of their bodies because they're rapidly growing, doesn't mean that you need to tolerate hitting and so forth. It just means that as you're regulating it, as you're redirecting these kids, have a little compassion that they are going through incredible changes, and it's really not easy. So please, 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 if you're working with kids, have patience. And if you don't have patience, please find another job, because these children are our future, and they are going through a tremendous amount of things. If you were growing at the same rate they were, you would want someone to cut a little slack to you. Okay, physically, 6-year-olds, they like a lot of physical activity. So instead of trying to fight that and keep everyone still and quiet, use it to your advantage. Have them run in place, have them do jumping jacks, have them jump from side to side on their yoga mat. They can pretend to be popcorn, going from Sukhasana, easy seat, to Tadasana, standing pose, mountain, like up and down, like popcorn. You could say, okay, who's popping? Who's popcorn today? Let's all be popcorn. And allow this yoga workshop to be an opportunity for them to get that physical activity that they need, especially in a school setting, because then they can go back to their academic discipline with a relief from all of that exertion, and then they can focus more easily. On the opposite side, although 6-year-olds do like a lot of physical activity, they also tire easily and they get sick often. So this is something to be aware of. that, they have, they're not invincible. So in summary, these common characteristics of 6-year-olds, the bodies, minds, and social behavior of 6-year-olds are changing dramatically. 6s have a lot of energy. So in a nutshell, 6s have a lot of energy. And here are some adjectives to describe 6-year-olds. Eagerness, curiosity, imagination, drive, openness, enthusiasm. All are at their peak in the typical 6-year-old. So again, 6-year-olds are eager, they're curious, they're imaginative, they have a drive, they're open, and they're enthusiastic. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful age to plant that yoga bug in them and get them excited about yoga. It can be a lifelong tool that they can draw upon and really benefit from for the rest of their lives. I'm not going to get into 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds in this class today because we're already 40 minutes into class, and I want to get on with the movement and also give you a nice meditation and so forth. So we'll save that for weeks 3 and weeks 4. So I'll put this away and we'll do a nice little feel-good meditation and breath work. So this class will focus on 6-year-olds. So we'll do a meditation for all of you teacher trainees because it's wonderful to just have a little practice in your class. Earlier, before we went over the 6-year-olds, everybody had an opportunity to focus on their own natural breathing and their breath. In our first class, I asked you all, what do you seek? And now that we're in week 2, hopefully some of you have some ideas about that. I also encourage you all to journal about what you want to get out of this yoga teacher training, because it's very telling and interesting and a wonderful source of growth to compare your thoughts at the onset of teacher training to the finale. Let us begin with just now a small guided meditation. I'm going to do this guided meditation as if we were doing it for 6-year-olds, so that in your repertoire you have some ideas of what to do with this age group. Okay, everybody, let's sit crisscross applesauce. Let us take a breath that makes a lot of noise. And let's blow it out as if we're blowing something away. And let's breathe in, making a lot of noise, and let's blow it away. Now, let's pretend we don't want to wake up a sleepy giant. Let us inhale very softly, and let us blow it out very softly too. And let us inhale very softly, and let us exhale very softly too. Now, let us go around the room and let us imagine smells that we smell, and you can make it up as we breathe in and out. So I'll go first. I smell a flower. Now I'm going to simulate if there was another kid in the class. Someone else could say, I smell a cupcake. And then because it's 6-year-olds, someone inevitably is going to say, I smell poop, and everybody can go laugh and so forth. Now we will begin, and then you can congratulate the kids because they love being rewarded. You can say, congratulations, all of you guys did awesome on breath work. That is called breath work, or pranayama. Can you say pranayama? And they will be so excited to learn this big vocabulary word. They can impress their older siblings, and you tell them, good job on breath work. So then you go to focus on meditation, and you can tell them that meditation is focusing the mind. And sometimes people focus the mind on their breath, but you can also focus your mind with a visual guided meditation. So you can tell them this visual guided meditation, we will build a bouquet of balloons. So let's imagine a bright red balloon. And then you can go around and each child can name a different color of the balloon. What color balloon do you want to add to the bouquet? I want to add blue. I want to add green, and so forth. And they go around. And then you can say, okay, everybody imagine that you're holding this balloon and this bouquet of balloons, and imagine you're walking through your most favorite place. And everyone be really, really quiet and really imagine that you're holding your balloons in your most favorite place. And when we're done with the meditation, we'll all share our stories. And then you can encourage the children to have a moment of silence as they imagine this. And then you can tell the children, now let go of your balloons. And then you can congratulate them, the meditation is over. And then you can practice communication skills with the children by having them go around and share the story of what they focused on, the special place that they held their balloons. And this will tell you whether the children in your group were able to really internalize and build that concentration from within. Perhaps they might not have been ready, and they might need at that age a full guided meditation where you sort of tell them every little aspect to focus on, in which case at that age group they love the idea of focusing on colors and so forth. Anyway, so that sort of concludes a sample meditation. Now let's stretch. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Walk your hands to one side and really stretch the side body. Walk your hands to the center and stretch the side body on the other side. Inhale, arms up, and we will rainbow our arms to one side. As you all know, this is my favorite pose because I love to tell our incarcerated women that they can paint a rainbow wherever they are. Exhale and inhale, painting the rainbow on the other side, and so forth. As mentioned in the last class, you can invite the children to imagine a paintbrush sweeping across the ceiling. With a big inhale, come to table, and we'll do some cat-cows to warm up the spine. Table is a great pose for kids on all fours. And also children love poses with animal names. So it's so fun that this is cat and cow. You can have them meow and moo and meow and moo. Sometimes children are chatty, as we learned. You can continue these cat-cows. As we learned that 6-year-olds like to talk a lot. So if you give them a sound to make, then that helps keep the conversation in line with class. From cat-cow, let's push up to down dog. This is our first down dog of the day. And let's just pedal out the feet to get a nice hamstring stretch. Down dog is also a fun pose for kids because it has the word dog in it. So again, the children love poses with animal names. You can bring both heels back and just try to create space in the shoulders. Again, drop one leg down, And we'll really just try to stretch the hamstring on this side and try to stretch it on the other side. Inhale the left knee in, step it through your hands, step the right foot through your hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend, slight bend in the knees. Inhale, arms all the way up to upward salute. Exhale, Tadasana. So this is week 2, and in week 2, as discussed in all of our classes, we learned Sun Salutation A. So for those of you who have done our RYT 200, you already know this like the back of your hand, but in case folks are taking these courses out of order, we're just going to do the Sun Salutation A 3 times on each side just to cement it in. I'm not going to teach it by age group just yet. This is just going to be a little review to level out the playing field, to just get everybody super confident on Sun Salutation A. Why is this important? This is important because literally you can teach an entire yoga class just doing Sun Salutation A. And that enables anybody, regardless of cognitive ability, to become a confident yoga teacher. As briefly mentioned, the SHARE method was developed during COVID to give incarcerated women a livelihood so that they could have a job that utilizes their mind, body, and soul. And we wanted to make this degree accessible. And we did this by breaking down yoga to the minimum components and really cementing those in. So we're going to cement in Sun Salutation A today so that it is in someone's back pocket. If someone gets nervous when teaching, it won't matter because you will know this so well. So let us breathe and move together in Sun Salutation A. We're going to do this 3 times, 1 on each side, so it's going to be sort of 6 times, but 3 sets. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Exhale, left leg back. Right leg back. Push up to downward dog. Plank. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left knee in. Right leg comes to match. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Arms all the way up. Exhale, Tadasana. We'll do that on the right side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Half bend. Right leg back. Left leg back. Plank. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Down dog. Right knee in, step it through. Left leg. Forward fold. Half bend. Upward salute. Tadasana. That was 1 set. We're going to do 2 more sets because the SHARE method has no tests or quizzes and we learn by repetition. So by doing things 3 times, it commits it to memory. And it's a lot better use of time to actually exercise than to sit in front of a computer and take a test. So we're not going to quiz you on this. We're going to learn kinetically and do it 2 more times together. Inhale, arms up, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Left leg back. Right leg back. Plank. Knees, chest, chin. Curl the toes under. Downward dog. Inhale, left knee in. Step it through. Right leg comes to match. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Arms all the way up. Tadasana. Let's do this on the right side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Right leg back. Left leg back. Plank. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Exhale, down dog. Right knee in, step it through, left leg comes to match. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend, arms up. Exhale, Tadasana. That completes our second set. We're going to do the third set. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend, left leg back, right leg back, plank. Knees, chest, chin. Up dog or cobra. We'll do up dog in the RYT 300. So, all right, cobra. Exhale, down dog. I kind of lost track, but I think we're just starting our third set. Inhale, left leg in, right leg comes to match. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend, arms all the way up. Tadasana. So it's live, blips and bloopers and all. So I think we just did the first half of our third set. So now we finish with our right leg on our third set. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Right leg back. Left leg back. Plank. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Push up to up dog, to down dog. Right knee in, step it through. Left leg comes to match. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half bend. Upward salute. Arms down, Tadasana. So, let us talk about the cueing of how we could do that fun for pre-K, ages 2 to 5. So we could say like this, they love to travel. So you could say, we are in New York City and tall like a skyscraper. But then we go to the Empire State Building, which is even taller. But then we see a bird swooping down to the ground. And then the bird comes up to sit on a lamppost. Anyway, I'm like, wait, sit down, upward salute. Wait, I'm all off. Okay, Tadasana, okay, this. Oh wait, then you could say, but then we cross a bridge, plank. Then we, go up a hill. Then we go up more hills. Then we come back, to like a folding bridge. Then we come up to a tall mountain and so forth. Like you can make it like a tour. You can see these cues in our RCYT materials. We have various stories. One is like an athlete story. Another is a story of animals. Another is a travel story and so forth. For elementary school kids, you can also create a story. What I love to do with elementary school kids is invite them to tell their own story. So for example, we could go around the room and I might say, I'm at school waiting in line. And then someone else might say, I'm going to the field and I'm excited that I saw someone score a soccer goal. And then someone could say like, I dropped my pencil in class and so forth. And basically it's sort of like a round robin and each child can tell their own part of the story. In middle school, middle schoolers are really wonderful at solving problems. They have a lot of social issues. They're dealing with bullying and so forth. And you can maybe tell a story or have them create a story that solves a problem. And with middle schoolers, what I would do is not necessarily have them stick to the exact movements of sun salutation A, but to have them make their own movements. So for example, with middle schoolers, we did a really fun game of we had a group of girls who happened to be Girl Scouts, and we did a really fun game of talking about what their experience was selling cookies. So one girl said, I rang the doorbell. And so we rang the doorbell like this. And then someone said, and the person who answered the door wasn't so friendly. So then, you know, we made movements like this. And then, you know, she said like, and then I was worried I'd drop my cookies. And so like we're holding our cookies and so forth. And so we created a fun story, and at the middle school level, because they are more cognitively able, we're able to invite those children to invent both the narrative as well as the movement. Okay, so now that you are comfortable with Salutation A, let us continue with just some restorative yoga to just feel really good. At the end of the day, it's important to maintain your yoga practice. And so the rest of this class is just for you as yoga teacher trainees to further your own yoga practice. Let's bring one leg outstretched, and you can grab a hold of your foot or shin, whatever is comfortable. Inhale your arm up, bring it around. You can grab a hold of your foot or bend your knee. Doesn't matter if your knee is bent or not, but it is nice to actually hold on to something so you can enjoy the benefits of this whole arm stretching. We'll be here a while just so you really can enjoy the release. Slowly walk your hands up to center. Bring the soles of your feet together. You can rock a little bit side to side. This is a playful pose kids love. And then extend your other leg out. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, forward fold. Stretching the obliques and side body. We'll be here a while just to enjoy the release. If you feel lightheaded, please feel free to modify. Slowly bring your way to seated position. Again, bring the soles of your feet together. You can give your feet a little self-massage. With kids, I love to say, let's open up your feet as if you're reading a book. Oh, what does your book say? And this is also a way to engage their creative storytelling. We learned that 6-year-olds love to be creative and love to talk, so we can harness that natural tendency by inviting children to go around the room and sort of read the story of what is between their feet as if their feet were opening up to be a book. You can also give yourself a little self-massage, some pressure points. You don't need to be certified massage therapist to enjoy some benefits of pressure points, and kids can also sort of increase body awareness by touching their feet, squeezing their feet, giving them a little squeeze. This is also a way to teach self-love, to give your feet a little squeeze and say, thanks feet for walking me around. You've been doing a good job. Bring your knees into chest, give yourself a little hug. This is also a way to promote self-love, and you can rock side to side. This is a core exercise in a way to stabilize yourself, to not fall over. It also could be a fun game with kids. Bring yourself a long ways to the mat. Slowly roll back, engaging your core. Bring your knees into chest. Cross your legs, grab a hold of opposite ankles. Bring your ankles forward and your knee towards your chin, and enjoy a hip stretch. Hug your knees, and you can cross your legs on the other side, grabbing hold of opposite ankles. Again, enjoying a hip stretch on the other side. Giving yourself a little hug. Bring your feet up, grab a hold of your hands or elbows if you reach, reaching your arms underneath your knees. Let your lower legs fall upon your arms. You can give yourself a hug, rocking side to side, massaging out your back. On the exhale, bring your feet down to the mat. Firmly place your feet to the edges of the mat. And we'll windshield wipe our knees, slowly bringing them back and forth. This is a way to stretch the lower back, release tension in the lower back. You can coordinate the windshield wiping of the knees with your breath, or just at your own pace. When you're ready, drop one knee to the mat. Bring the other foot on top, not on your knee, but on your thigh. We want to be careful about the joints. Inhale the arms up. Bring it around to cactus arms. And enjoy a nice stretch. When you're ready, bring both feet to opposite edges of the mat. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug again. Rock side to side, massaging out the back. The stretch we just did is a wonderful stretch for your psoas, your hips, lower abdominals, and lower back, but it's also important to kind of massage all of that out. When you feel ready on an exhale, firmly plant your feet again to opposite edges of the mat. Drop the other knee down. Place the other foot on top of the thigh, not on top of the kneecap. You want to be sensitive to your kneecap. Inhale, arms up and all the way around to cactus arms. And we'll enjoy a nice hip stretch on the other side. Notice the difference between your sides. Is one side looser than the other? And if it is, if one side is tighter, you might want to work on that in your own personal practice. It is really important to have a self-practice when you become a yoga teacher to really meet the needs of your own personal body alignment issues, because otherwise, if you don't address those needs in your own personal practice, then it can lead to injury when you're teaching. Sometimes when we're teaching, we use repetitive movements or we twist our neck so we can talk while we're teaching. And if those little quirks aren't sort of smoothed out in our personal practice, it can lead to injury. A lot of yoga teachers have injury, and it's unfortunate. So just try to use your own practice to smooth out any irregularities that come up while teaching or in regular life. Slowly bring your knees back up, feet firmly planted on the mat. Push out and extend your feet about hip width apart. Bring your arms to your side body, palms up. Let your toes drift to the edge of the mat, falling outwards. Not to the edge of the mat, sorry. Your feet are hip width apart, but your toes are falling outwards, facing the edge. And I invite you to join Savasana for about 10 minutes to the end of class. I'm going to get up to prepare some things, and I will clap my hands when Savasana is over. Even though I'm going to get up, I invite you to continue to relax and feel restored and enjoy your reward for joining this yoga teacher training and restore in Savasana. So I will be back and enjoy Savasana. In Savasana, you can do a full body scan using your breath to connect with your feet, your calves, your hips, your torso, your upper body, and lower body. I invite you to bring your awareness back to the present moment. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Gently roll to one side and push yourself up to comfortable seated position. How do you feel? May the light in me be the light in you. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much for joining today. Namaste.